Good evening, Gwyneth.
Good evening, Chelsea. How do we find ourselves this fine evening in Glendale, California?
I have never been to Glendale, and I'm going to sit up straight for the event. It's beautiful here. Thank you for having us, everyone, and thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you.
Maybe I should.
Did you know that Glendale has a very high Armenian population?
Oh, I love Armenians.
We have a mutual best friend who's Armenian.
Yes, I think they're here. The Kashishians, our very close dear friends. Oh, there she is. Somebody sounds like her.
So we are here tonight to talk about you and your new book. Which...
And I asked Gwyneth, sorry to interrupt, but I asked Gwyneth to interview me because I needed someone interesting, more interesting than myself, and I needed a friend who was able to speak, and a lot of people in this industry can't. And they certainly can't ask another person questions. So she's one of the only people I know who can do that. So I thought, hey, meet me in Glendale.
And I'm here to prove you wrong. So, okay, so you gone to be kidding me. First of all, whenever I say the name of the book, I laugh out loud, especially because it does not take place in Uganda.
That's never really been a concern of mine.
Yeah. Artistic license everywhere she walks. So this is your 5th book.
Well, 4.5, because I've written 4, and this is from someone who I never thought, I read a lot, but I never thought I would be able to write a book, and I'm not sure I even can after this point, but, and then I had one which was written by all my friends about different practical jokes.
Okay.
So I count that as a half a book because I edited it and made sure that the stories I wanted in there were in there.
And do we know, is this going to be your 5th New York Times bestseller?
Well, I better. I mean, I hope so. I find out. Thank you. I'll find out the list. I think today's Tuesday, tomorrow.
Okay. And I'm sure it will be. I have no doubt.
Number 6. It should be number 1, idiot. What were you saying?
So, I mean, to have 5 books on the New York Times bestseller list is pretty incredible. And at one time, you had the number 1, 2, and 3 positions simultaneously, which apparently had never been done before. And, you know, I mean,
Thank you.
that's pretty cool. I mean, what amazes me about you is your grit, you know? I mean, you come from a small town in New Jersey, and somehow you've got 2 shows on the air. By the way, what does it mean to have your own imprint? When I was doing my Wikipedia research on Chelsea Handler, it says that you have your own imprint, your own publishing imprint. What does that mean?
It means I own a tattoo parlor. It's something that my publishing company gave me, probably just so that I would stay and do another book with them. I've published other people's books, and my theory was I wanted people who came on my show, comedians who have trouble getting books published, or anyone for that matter. I wanted to be able to give people the opportunity to publish their books and have the say in that. So we've done, I think, 2 other books besides mine. And, you know, it's just another nice thing to change up your brain activity.
Right.
By the way, I asked Gwyneth, I said, you know, you don't have to prepare questions. My writers can help you do research. She goes, no, I've been doing lots of research. I'm online all the time now. And this is from someone who never goes online. I can vouch for you on that.
I only go online to look at you. I only Google Chelsea Handler. So the book is hilarious.
Thank you.
I love when you talk about vaginas and alcohol. And I love when you described one of the camp managers as having that really fucked up mouth that looked like a vagina and a layered cake or something like that. It was like a vaginal 7-layer dip. It was the worst.
And if you're ever lucky enough to be able to go on safari, I think you've been, have you?
No.
No, well, you need to go too. You can goop that. Go and goop and show them. You can show people where to get a bikini wax on safari. And
in your tent.
In my tent, that's what I do, waxing. It was one of those trips where, we went to 4 different safari camps, and the first one we went to should have been the last because it was the best.
That's where you wanted to bang the head guy.
That's right, yes. I was sexually rejected in Africa by my safari guide. And I respected him for that. It was the first time I had been rejected in Africa. That came out without me even thinking about it. But it really was the first time I'd been rejected in Africa because it was my first day there. But we ended up becoming great friends, and he came with us. We kidnapped him, and he came with us to the next 4 camps, and we're still really good friends with him. And he's got his pictures in the book. His name's Rex, and he's a great friend. I love him.
And now, did you go on this safari in order to have material to write a book? Was that the impetus for the trip?
I didn't. Honestly, I said to myself I would never write another book because what entails if I write a book, I would like to promote it the right way, and I like to make the publisher, happy that they gave me a book deal. I come from the place where I'm like, how did any of this happen? So I always feel like I'm undeserving, and then I can turn on a dime and be a real bitch at the same time. So it's a lot for me to handle. But no, I go on tour and I do stand-up, and then I do tons and tons of book signings. So I didn't want to ever do another book again until I was in a better state of mind and appreciation and not exhausted. And I know you know what it's like to be really, really tired and not be in a grateful, and a gracious position, to not be grateful. I wanted to be grateful. I didn't want those moments that you dream about to pass by and be like, oh, that was the moment that I played Radio City Music Hall. That was the moment that, I was, on the New York Times list, number 1, 2, and 3. I didn't want those moments to sail by me anymore, and I felt like I was moving really fast, and that they were kind of sailing by. So I stopped and I focused on my show, which really I realized didn't take that much energy because it's on E. And then I was like, oh, wait, I can write another book. But no, it happened in Africa.
It's really funny.
Thank you.
It's really funny. And what you just said, I mean, you don't know, sometimes you look and you think, I don't know how I got here. I mean, how do you think you got here? When you look, like, what are the things about you, like, what happened in your house that you have all this incredible fire and drive, and like, where does this all come from, and how did you go from there to where you are now?
Well, I think I definitely looked at my parents and I thought, this is not acceptable behavior. And I know this probably surprises a lot of people, maybe not a lot of people here tonight, but anybody who's watching this, that I'm very morally bound, and I don't like to cheat or lie or do any of that stuff. I like everybody. I like to go above and beyond because my parents were so backwards, and my mom would have me answer the phone, and lie to people all the time to say she wasn't home because she was antisocial and shy. My mom was really timid and shy. She would always say to me, I don't know where you came from, whose daughter you are. And I felt bad for her, but then my father was really loud and just crooked. He was a used car salesman, so he was always trying to get like $20 extra for this or lie, and he was loud and obnoxious, more like me than I would care to really admit. But they displayed such behavior. Somebody would ring the bell to our house, and my mom would be like, everybody hide upstairs. I'm like, this isn't, like, why are we, this is the Holocaust. Like, we can go answer the door. But she was just the opposite of me, like completely antithetical to what I was. And I just didn't ever want to go through life not answering my front door.
Right. So was that a decision that you made? Like, do you remember consciously saying, this is not how I want to be? Because one of the things about you that's the most startling and beautiful as your friend is your level of integrity. And what I mean by that, and I said this to you the other day, but I think more than almost anyone I know, your word and your action are this close together. So sometimes it's amazing. She's so brazen about the truth, and sometimes it's uncomfortable for other people that we might be dining with, say. But for me, I find it incredibly inspiring, especially because, you know, I was raised to please and to be polite and, you know, to like, no, but it's, you know, I think what stems from that is I'm not saying who I really am. It's taken me 40 years to get to the point to say, like, I'm not going to say that I want to go somewhere if I don't want to go somewhere, and I'm not going to say what you just said is acceptable if it's not. And it's still hard for me, but, you know, sitting with you and the level of bravery and integrity that you display all the time is really astonishing. But it's also not the way that young girls, at least in our generation, were raised. You know, it's like, you don't really think that. Like, behave, be quiet, sit there. So is it something that just erupted out of you by being the youngest of all these kids and seeing, you know, your parents, or was it an intellectual decision, or was it sort of an instinctual decision?
This may be a huge surprise, but I don't really think that hard about anything I'm doing. Let me get your hairs in your mic, just so
thank you.
FYI. I would love to be like, oh my God, I woke up and I just wanted to be such a good girl. No, I think or not a good girl. I mean, I'm not a good girl to a lot of people. So many people think I'm horrible, but
no, that's not true.
Well, you went online, so, but that's not my problem. People who
Piers
don't.
Morgan might think.
Piers Morgan
today.
can, whatever. First of all, thank you. That's a beautiful compliment, and you wrote me a beautiful email the other day that I printed and put in my desk for the days that I'm feeling low. But I think it just becomes, it's your nature, you know. No one ever told me not to say what I thought when I was growing up, so I was lucky in that respect. My father was really very much about me having a big mouth and saying he would be very proud of me. He's like, look at my daughter, look at her. And my mother would be embarrassed a lot, and she'd go, oh, Chelsea, how can you say that? And, you know, my mom would go out to eat, and I remember being 6 or 7 years old, and she had a salad, and she found something in it, I don't know, something that shouldn't have been in it. And she pushed her salad aside, and she said, oh, and I said, Mom, what's going on? And we were out to eat at a restaurant, you know, nothing fancy, and she said, it's nothing, something's in my salad. And I go, well, let's send it back. And she said, no, 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 don't send it back, don't say anything. Let's just, you know, eat it. And I'm like, excuse me. I'm like, excuse me, miss. I'm like, my mom doesn't like her salad. And my mom's like, oh my God, you're such a horror. And I'm like, you have to stand up for yourself. Right. I mean, you're paying for the salad.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it was so stupid. But,
no, it's not stupid, and what an amazing lesson to be able to impart to your mother. It should be the other way around.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think my mom was just so exhausted from me that she just checked out early. She's like, how long is this gonna go on for? But it's also being the youngest. When you're the youngest, you have to scream and yell to be heard, because everyone's kind of, you can be the favorite, and you can be, I know you come from 2, so it's a different, I come from 6. You can be, the favorite and the cutest and the sweet, and everyone they dotes on you, but no one really takes you seriously. Right. Your opinion doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't. You know, they want you when they want to order pizza on a Friday night. They're like, you go down and tell Dad, you're the youngest and you're the cutest. We'll put your hair in pigtails. And I'm like, I'm not just a sex symbol. I have a brain. And so that, I think it just is, you know, you have to make sure they take you seriously. So when I would speak up at the dinner table, I didn't want them rolling their eyes or smirking. I was like, no, I'm going to get in this conversation too, whether you want me to or not.
Right. It's amazing, and it's new for a girl. I mean, I love that. I love seeing that in a woman. And I try to raise my daughter to be like that, and to really speak her mind, and to not capitulate or back off, you know. And you're really my role model for that in that way. So
well, you're my role model for elegance. I was saying, somebody said, oh God, Gwyneth is such a great choice. You would never imagine that the 2 of you are friends. And I go, I know. And then she emailed me this morning. She goes, "What are you wearing tonight?" I go, "Don't worry what I'm wearing. I know that it's not going to be great, and I'm going to be sitting next to you, so I'm just giving up." But I love that you don't even realize that. She goes, "I once said to you, we were in London, I said, you have such great style." And she said, "You think?" She goes, "I don't know what I'm doing."
Oh my God, I'm blushing. Okay. So.
Sorry, back to me.
My point was, but this is something that I wanted to talk to you about, how you are as a friend, and the amazing group of women that you have around you in your life, some of whom are featured in the book, some of whom, thankfully, are spared. But you have this amazing group of really strong, talented, articulate, loyal, funny women around you all the time. And you're also sort of like a magnet for women. We can come together and you're kind of the draw. And you're like a place to meet other amazing women. And I was thinking about this when I was, thinking about you. In terms of you being a role model for women, I think that for me, you have this amazing feminist power, and it's iconoclastic, and I think that you, the way that you are exactly who you are at all times, and you're living your life on your own terms, and you're incredibly successful and super strong, but you also have this amazing softness and loyalty. And she does things like find out that someone that she doesn't even know is in the hospital, and she'll pay their rent or something like that all the time. You'll be like, what? She did what? She really has this amazing, softness and generosity. That's I think someone who might not know you might say oh, she's sort of brassy, and but there's this amazing duality to you, and that's what I love, because you're representing this idea that a woman can be many things at once. You can be as sexual as you can be soft, and feminine as you can be powerful, and you really represent that. I love that about you.
That's so nice.
It's true. And so, another area that I sort of look up to you, and apropos of that is, you're not married. And
I'm not? Would it be funny if I was and I didn't even remember? Could totally be possible, by the way.
I know. If I get to it, I'll tell him the story about your memory and the neurologist. Anyway.
Why wait? Let's tell that story. This is a great story. So no, it's a really great story.
It's an upsetting story.
Well, for you it is, but there's so many parts to it. So, okay, we were out to dinner one night, and we were out to dinner like 3 girlfriends or 4 girlfriends, and I ordered the check prematurely.
Wait a minute. The drinks came, we had a drink. The appetizers had not hit the table, and she's like, "Can I get the check, please?" And I was like, "Are you okay?" And you're like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And another double vodka, and I was like, "Yeah, okay." And then, so I was like, why is Chelsea asking for the check before we even ate? So I thought it was not a red flag, but maybe an orange.
But in my defense, and as you know, I really like to pay for things.
True.
So I could have been intoxicated, or I could have just thought, let me get this before any of the other girls get it. There are 2 options. We still don't know what the real answer is.
That's true.
So then, you were at Heathrow.
Yes, and I ran into a gentleman that she was dating at the time, and he said to me, "I'm worried about Chelsea because she did something really bizarre this morning," and he proceeds to tell me the story, which was that she had gotten into her gardener's car and started to drive it to work. And had no idea. So I said,
my gardener and I are very close, first of all. And I would also like to make mention of the fact that he has one arm. He's the only one-armed gardener in Los Angeles.
You see my point?
And we pay him full price, so I just want everyone to know that. Secondly, so they're having a conversation about me at Heathrow.
Yes, I'm suggesting that she needs to go see a neurologist because when I couple the gardener car story with the ordering the check with the cocktails, I'm worried that something's wrong. Unbeknownst to me.
Hold on a second. I got in the car, in my gardener's car, and drove away because I was on a radio, not a radio, a phone or like a press interview in the morning. I was running out. I was very scattered. I'm very scattered. I don't deny that. I wasn't drunk in the morning.
Yes.
And so I was on the...
Has anyone here ever accidentally gotten into someone else's car and driven it to work?
Don't be shy, you guys. If you've done that, that's okay. So she's on the phone with the person that I was dating, and
I was talking to him in person.
And he had pocket dialed me. He had pocket dialed me. And he was flying to LA to see me, and I hear on the conversation, do you think she needs to see a neurologist? I mean, something is wrong with her.
I was concerned.
And then she said, do you think it's the drink? Do you think she takes Ambien in the morning? And I'm listening to this phone call, and I'm like, fuck you guys. It was so funny. I mean, oh my God, that was amazing.
I was on a plane with you in the morning when you took an Ambien at 8 o'clock in the morning, so I thought maybe you did it to get in the car, too.
No, I'm not a Kennedy. I wouldn't do that. That was a sleeping trip. We got on the plane just to fly back to LA from New York, so what else am I going to do for 5 hours? I can't stay up. But anyway, I haven't seen that neurologist. I'm waiting for you to give me a recommendation.
Fine. But before you...
It's a pretty good story. I'm glad we shared it.
Okay, so before you tried to sidetrack me with the neurologist story, I was saying that you're not married, and I'm just wondering, because also so many of us girls, I think, are raised like to aspire to getting married, and it's part of the thing. And it's like Gloria Steinem says, everybody, all the girls are asked, oh, how are you going to balance, or the questions, how are you going to balance your life with, and men are not asked that question. And do you care? Do you not care? Do you want to have a partner? Do you not think about it?
I've thought about it. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about it. I kind of like this statement. It wasn't a statement to begin with. I mean, now it's kind of, I would be lying if I said it wasn't kind of like, oh, now I'm just like the person that's not getting married, so I kind of like it, and I think it's a good example to not have that be part of your identity. The truth of the matter is, I don't really know how to balance a relationship and my life. I've never been able to really do that. I can't really handle both things, and I like to be 100% focused on I'm a better, happier human being when I can be really focused on my friends, my family, and my job. And when I have the distraction, thank you to the two people, the two gay men. Thank you. Thank you to the two gay men in the front row. But that's also because I haven't found, I haven't found my whatever soulmate. I think there are millions of soulmates. I think girls are soulmates, I think friends are soulmates, men are your soulmates that you're not in a romantic relationship with, and I always believe that I'm the best, of course I love men. I have men around all the time. I mean, I'm not an idiot, but I don't, you have to have somebody that brings out the best in you, and I've never met somebody that really brings out the best in me, and I want to bring out the best in them. You don't want it to be a one-way street, and you've been married for a long time. It's hard. It's really hard work, and I like change and not, I don't know if I'm the marrying kind. My father said that to me when I was 9 years old. My brother was breaking up with a girlfriend, or he was, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that he had an annulment, but he did, and luckily I have a couple brothers, so nobody can pinpoint who it is, but, and he was talking to my brother, and he was in the living room crying. My brother was crying to my father, saying, I don't know what to do. I can't stay married to her. I made a mistake. And my brother and I are very close, and he said, my dad said, the problem is I think you want to marry a woman like Chelsea, or a girl like Chelsea? And he goes, and Chelsea's not the marrying kind. And most people go, oh my God, that's terrible. I took it as a huge compliment. I'm like, I'm not.
That's my point. It's amazing that that's what I'm saying, is you don't carry the energy of a woman who's like aspiring to that. And I think that's cool and different. And
yeah, and I think, the more people that don't get married, we just did something on our show tonight about the statistics of single mothers, and not single mothers who have never been married, who have children, that it's higher, the percentage rate for that is higher than it's ever been. And, I think that's a good indication that you're committed. When you have a kid, you're committed to your kid for the rest of your life.
Would you have a kid, or are you saying?
No. That wouldn't be nice, to the child. And I know that. I'm a great aunt, and I don't mind kids. I don't want one. I like being, I like my friends' kids, and I can tolerate some of them. But I don't think that's where that's not a good use of my time. And I think that would be a really... There we go again. So I need like a 3-second delay on when I say something, like CNN or something.
I saw a tweet that you sent out that said, I need, it was like, damn, I need autocorrect for my mouth.
Well, you know how it is. I don't know if you experienced this, but I'm sure you have. And when you sometimes read quotes or sound bites from yourself that you've given in interviews, you can, for me, I have a different issue. I just sound really like I have a big mouth and I talk a lot of trash. I don't think of myself in that respect. So when you see a soundbite and I'm like, oh, she's horrible, or the Met Ball sucks, or, I actually said that, I know. But, when you say stuff like that, I'm like, oh God, I sound like such a troublemaker, and I shouldn't be allowed to go on so many shows in 1 week, but I don't mean to sound that way. I just am really truthfully being honest, and then I sometimes read it, or I read an article in a magazine. If I've done the interview, I was there for the interview, sitting down for a 2-hour interview at a restaurant for a magazine, and I read it, I go, God, you don't sound you don't sound smart. You sound, really trashy sometimes, because I just throw things out there, and that I hate, because I know that I'm much more than that, and I'm much more thoughtful than that. But I
think it's refreshing, and I think that I really do, and I think that people can be reductive about other people. It's very easy to do that, and people love to do that about women. They like us in one little lane, doing our one little thing, and I think it's nice that you challenge that. Have you ever read anything back or after the fact and regretted saying something? Like, have you ever felt the sting of that?
No. No, I don't. No, because I don't. I just, it is what it is, and I don't ever want to. I think that's a slippery slope. I think if you start to say, oh, God, I wish I hadn't said that, or if you apologize publicly, then it's just like, I'm a comedian, and I'm not, you shouldn't be taking me that seriously to begin with.
It gives you quite like a wide berth, to
yes.
be able to say.
They're birthing hips, Gwyneth, that's what I have.
So don't say you shouldn't have a kid so fast.
Well, I have Chewy, he was a breach. I'll never be the same.
Ouch.
Yeah. Ouchie, wouchie.
Are you afraid of anything?
Snakes, thank you. Yes, I'm scared of snakes, and it's such
No, not like that.
That was a good one. I had an answer.
You can answer the snake sessions, but.
I'm very scared of snakes, but you're right. That's not, everybody has a phobia of like spiders or snakes, or I would rather meet a shark in the ocean than find a snake anywhere near me. I really think I could take a shark, and I believe that. I've talked about it, I've thought about it, what I would do. I would grab onto the fin, and he wouldn't be able to get me. and then right when he got up, I'd do a backflip. I have all these visions of what I would do. And as far as being fearful, I'm not, no. I mean, I don't know what there is to be scared of. I know, I get nervous sometimes. I get nervous if or sometimes you say silly things or not publicly, or you're meeting someone and you get nervous whenever you don't expect to get nervous. That's the thing. I can go on stage or I can do stand-up and in front of thousands of people and be fine, and then the next day all of a sudden I'm nervous. I did Madison Square Garden, did the theater at the Garden Saturday night, 2 shows where my friends and family were, and that made me nervous because my family was there. And I was like, oh, meanwhile they're the most supportive of me. There's no reason to be nervous, but all of a sudden it hits you and you're walking on stage and and I'm like catching my breath and I'm like, why am I nervous? This is crazy. But I get nervous like that. As far as fear,
do you think you get nervous because there's like a different exposure there or vulnerability with your family there? Like what do you think it's
I think I don't want anybody to ever worry about me. And like my family sometimes will look at me sideways or look at my schedule or see and then be like, or I'll
hear the gardener story.
Yeah, or hear the gardener story, which they'll hear for the first time tonight. And they just sometimes worry about me, but they know me so well, they know that I can kind of cut it. And this tour was a really great thing for me because I said, I've done this so many times, a stand-up tour in conjunction with my book. And I've done it so many times, but I've never had to be that serious about it because I've gotten away with a lot of stuff, and I am a lucky person. It's not like, I'm the best comedian in the world or the best looking person. I'm not the best at anything, but I'm in the game, and I've always been in the game. And I think that's more important. I'm not trying to be #1 at everything except for the New York Times list. And well, thank you. But so. And now this time, I just turned 39, and I was thinking, God, you can't go on tour and drink before a show anymore. You can't get away with that.
What the fuck is this?
This is an interview. This is L'chaim.
This is vodka. What's in there with it?
Ice.
Oh.
This is an interview, Gwyneth, that you're conducting, and so
right.
I don't really have to do anything but sit here and just look adorable. How's that working out?
I know, this is my first rodeo, so you'll have to forgive me.
Well, isn't she doing a fabulous job? I know talent when I see it.
That's actually something that I was wondering. Do you ever get a guest on your show that's just a dud?
Yes.
Because it never, you seem to, I don't know, I've never seen you struggle. I feel like...
Oh, please, no, no, of course. I mean, there's a different guest every day. Luckily, I only have such a short format because it's a 30-minute show, so our interviews are 7 minutes, so I don't have to be, I don't have to do 2 segments with a person, and now I can pretty much, say, I don't want a Real Housewife on my show. I don't want to talk to them. I don't care.
Right.
But, not that they're a dud. They'll talk you, but I'm not interested in anything they have to say, is the problem. But, because I'm so much more sophisticated, but, no, yes, there are people that are very nervous that come on and you have to really do a dance and get them, and then you end up talking about yourself. And my sister once said to me, or my brother said to me, he goes, God, so-and-so was on your show. I can't remember who it was. And he said, all you did was talk about yourself. I go, did you see her personality? We couldn't talk about her. She had nothing to say. And he said, oh my God, I never realized that was what was happening. And I go, well, pay attention, because you think, I'm not trying to get a show so I can interview people and talk about myself more.
Are there tricks of the trade? Like, do you and Conan, do you all get together and go?
I love Conan. Conan's my favorite. He's the best.
He's hilarious.
He is. He's the best. I love him. No, we don't talk about that. I think we're all just, no one talks about that.
About how to deal with it.
There are only like 7 or 8, well, no, that's not true. There are people in different formats or serious formats, that aren't like late night shows. But no, I think it's just your own thing, and it's, I
think it would be very difficult night after night to do shows and to sort of feign interest or, muster, energy or whatever. It's really a talent to be able to do that.
Well, thank you. I would say that I have a natural curiosity, as I know you do, I mean, I am curious about people, not in that format, but when I go to, you know, a dinner party or whatever, you're hanging out with people, I like to know what people do in the morning and then what they do in the afternoon and what about your husband and what does your kid think and what does he call you and like, I love those dynamics, and that interpersonal affairs is my favorite topic in the whole entire world. I just love it, and I love to be, I'm a girl. I mean, I'm physical, like technically I'm a woman, I'm not a man. So I think that's innate, you know, you kind of have that thing where you get together with girls and you just want to gossip, not necessarily in a negative way, although that is something that happens all the time, and it's hard to avoid, but you know, you want to ask questions, you kind of want to know, and as long as someone is comfortable with you, then it's so much easier for you to be comfortable with them.
Right.
And if you can make someone comfortable in the first 30 seconds and get a big laugh from the audience, and they think it's because of them,
right,
then you're home free.
Is doing the show something you envision doing a lot? I know your contract is going to come up.
Yeah.
Right, in 2014.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do?
Something. I don't know. I don't have a plan in place, but I'm going to do something that exercises my brain a little bit more. I don't know where it's going to be or if I'm going to leave or what I'm going to do, but I definitely, you know, I feel like working at E is like very similar to being confined to a wheelchair without any wheels.
Don't tweet that. So
anyway, I think I might have the day off tomorrow.
Yeah. So not at E, clearly, but would you like to carry on interviewing people? Like,
yeah, I mean, I want to interview real people. I want to interview, like, you know, one of my favorite shows is Real Sports with Brian Gumbel. I don't know if you've seen it. It's on HBO. It's an amazing format, and it's amazing. You know, it's not about sports. I'm not a sports fan. I don't go to, you know, I mean, I rarely go to sporting events or anything unless I think it's funny, like the Super Bowl. But there's a human interest aspect to it. I think there's a new show, you know, I would love to do a younger, cooler 60 Minutes. I want to educate, I want to educate my audience that has been so loyal to me and all these girls, you know, and talk about things that are happening in the world in a more responsible way. I don't want to talk about, you know, I've said this so many times, but I'll say it again, I don't want to talk about Justin Bieber. And, you know, I've had conversations, I've had conversations, you know, with people that I work for and the company I work for, and they said, well, you have the world at your fingertips. You can talk about anything you want. And I said, yes, but look at the audience that's coming to E. I'm done. They can't understand what, you know. We can't just go from the Kardashians to current events. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
And so
I see. It's a fair point if you're trying to do something, you know, completely different.
And I want to be responsible. Like when you have a certain amount of success, you want to be responsible to the people that gave you that success.
Yeah.
And you want to take them to a different place. And you want to elevate my brain. I want to elevate their brains. I want to ask questions that people are embarrassed to ask. Right. I want to ask how.
You do. You do.
But not about vaginas, you know, about how a bill gets passed, about how government works, about you know, all the things that. You know, some people, you know, you have a conversation with people who act like they know what they're talking about when they don't.
Yep.
I feel sorry for those people, and I'm one of those people. And I want to ask those questions because I want to answer it for all the people that are scared to ask that question. I don't mind if I look like an asshole. It's already over.
And when you say, you know, like you talk about like women fans of yours, are you aware of being, you know, like a woman that other women look to and girls look to? Are you aware of that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you do book signings and people come to see my shows when I go on the, I mean, this last week I was in 8 cities and doing stand-up shows, and I do book signings wherever I go. And you know, it's so moving because people will say, oh my gosh, you're my idol. And I go, oh my God, what? That's so sad. And then their mother's there, and I'm like, I'm sorry. She's like, no, it's great. And you're like, I'm sorry, I'm ruining your family. And
no.
And then you're like, wow, you're really cool that you think that's cool that your daughter likes me. She goes, it's great, I want a daughter, you know. And then you think about it, and you don't get completely in some out-of-control hubris, and I don't ever, I'm not. I mean, I have too much, you know, too many body issues to ever really think I'm that amazing. I just have to turn on my closet lights because somebody was nice enough to put in fluorescent lighting, and then sometimes I'm like, oh, whoopsie doopsie. I just want to wrap this night up, but no, I love it. I love it. I mean, you know, if somebody told me when I was 8 or 9 that I would have half of what I have, I wouldn't have believed it. Or maybe I would have. Maybe I would have believed it because it's always kind of what I wanted. And now that I'm smart enough and mature enough, when I was 29, I was not mature enough, and it was just kind of beginning for me. I mean, you've been famous from a very young age, so I don't even know what kind of mindfuck that is.
Yeah.
And you know what's so funny is when you're someone like me looking at someone like you, I mean, before I even was friends with you or met you, I obviously knew who you were, and I always thought, God, she's totally got it so together. You're beautiful, you're tall, you don't have cellulite that I can see, and you date all these, you had this like beautiful life. You had I mean, it was amazing. And then you meet a person, and everyone's a person. Everyone has their shit. Everyone's trying to be the best they can be, and we all have, all these girls that we are around, whether they're famous, whether they're not famous, whether they're successful in their field or they're not. Everybody's struggling, and everybody's learning from each other, and the kind of, for lack of a better, less cheesy word, like the sisterhood of friends, and I don't just mean women, I mean men, not just gay men. Right. I mean, just the friendships that you have over time, and the support you can get from people, even people you barely know, is something to be really proud of, and that takes you a long way.
Yeah. Speaking of the sisterhood, I was reading this quote, and it reminded me of you. Not to go back to Gloria Steinem, but she said, any woman who chooses to behave like a full human being should be warned that the armies of the status quo will treat her as something of a dirty joke. She will need her sisterhood. And it reminded me of you because, you behave like a full human being. I think, the women that I see that do try to behave like a full human being and say, this is me, all my flaws, my beauty, my disasters, my history, it is difficult especially to be a well-known person in the culture. It can be difficult sometimes, and to have that sisterhood is everything, because I think what they do and what we do is reflect back, your real value, and you can see that so well in women friends, and you're such a supportive girlfriend. And so I was going to ask you, because there are certain women that you don't like. And I'm just wondering, like, what do you look for in a woman friend, and what do you not like? Like, when you assess someone that you don't like, that you've been vocal about, like, what is it about them that you don't like? Like, what are the characteristics that you don't like and you like about women?
Well, the first indicator is if that woman has other female friends. If she doesn't, then that's usually a sign that she's up to no good. But there have been many, I mean, I think if you're a girl and you don't have a lot of girlfriends, then you're not that great of a girl. I mean, girls hang out with other girls. They hang out with guys, but you hang out with girls first. That's what happens on the playground. Right. So, and I don't like women who use their sexuality and have no regard for other women. I don't like women who, I know everyone says, I don't like women, I think there's a look in a woman's eye when you know that she's invidious of other women, when she's not like, hey, open-minded. Listen, I've talked about so many people on my show, and then I've met them, and I've been like, shit. Like, I didn't know them, and then I meet them, and I'm like, I just hope you know nothing I say is really personal. Like, I like Khloe Kardashian. I'm not a huge fan of the other one, but I like Chloe. Like, I like her, and I really like her. She's like a good girl, and she's like a sweet girl, and so I meet a lot of people that I've said stuff about, but I'm not really, you know, every night I'm talking about something. I'm making fun of myself more than I make fun of anyone. Right. I always make sure that I'm the most self-deprecating because I know that it starts from you. If you're gonna be a comedian, you better start with yourself and then work out. But I think to go back to your question, I think, you know, women who have a lot of other female friends is definitely a thing. And, you know, you have kind eyes or you don't have kind eyes. You're somebody who pays attention. If you ask questions, if I sit down with someone, and you know, we know people that don't do that, and we know people that do. If you can sit down and you say, how are you, instead of railing off about yourself for 15 or 20 minutes, or when somebody's talking about their son or their kid, or, you know, I mean, you pay attention. It's somebody who pays attention and isn't just about themselves or isn't just, you know, looking to who's over your shoulder. It's somebody who's present, who you can have a conversation with. And that goes for anybody, whether you're male or female. You know, a lot of people aren't present, and a lot of people are comers. You know, they want to go to the next thing. They want to be with the most famous person. No, there's a different definition to that word. And you know, you're great at that. You sit down at a dinner party and you sit next to the person you're sitting with, and unless you're the host, you will sit there for 2 hours and talk to whoever you're sitting with. And in our business, it's really important to me who pays attention to my friends that aren't famous, not just my friends that are famous. Right. And I know that's important to you, because at one of your Christmas parties, I met a friend of yours, and we hit it off. We were outside. I think we smoked a cigarette or something, and she said, oh, let's go to dinner. And I said, yeah, all right. I mean, I don't really know you. And I met her. She was a really sweet girl, and so we ended up going to Soho House one night, and then halfway through the dinner, I realized we were on a date. And I was like, huh? And I don't know who I was dating at the time, but I'm sure it was someone. And I told you, I said, by the way, you remember your friend? I think I went on a date with her. And Gwyneth was like, oh.
You would have been a good couple.
I know, I didn't know you were gay, Chelsea.
I wasn't setting it up. This happened without me being involved. Before we wrap it up, I would like to know so you're turning 40. What are you going to do for your 40th birthday?
Okay, well, hold your horses, because I just turned 39 like a month ago.
I know.
And then I'll answer that. I just want to make sure I get that out there.
Yes, you're very young, and 40's a long way off. But I would like to know, the day that you turn 40, do you have any plans? Have you thought about it at all?
I will be renting a large or small island. And I will be inviting a large group of people. I will have you turn on your 40th birthday. In my defense, for whatever happens, you had about 8 different birthday parties in 8 different countries. 4, maybe I'm exaggerating, but I was only at 1. But you had one of the most amazing 40, and it was an inspiration to me. And not that you threw yourself. Her husband was sweet enough to throw them for her, but it was amazing. And I just think I had a mellow birthday this year because I thought I'm gonna, for my 40th. It
wasn't that mellow. Your ass ended up in icing.
We were at a brunch, Gwyneth. I mean, yes, it was. I did sit in the cake because I thought for my 39th year, I'm so sick of gluten-free shit. Thank you for being there, by the way. That was a great day. That was a great brunch. So it was nice. It was mellow. Well, it wasn't mellow, I guess. But
that's mellow.
In my life, it's mellow. So yeah, I'm gonna have a big blowout for my 40th. I'm hopefully gonna not. I don't think I want to take a couple of months off from whatever I do, and I want to not work. I want to go move to Spain and learn Spanish so I can talk to you in another language. And I want to live somewhere else just for a little bit and take a little break, give everybody a little break from me, and then come back and do something really that I'm super proud of.
Okay, sounds good. All right, I'm getting the sign. It's time for question time with Yelsey, as we call her. And so Ted is somewhere in the audience, right?
I am indeed in the audience. The first question, Chelsea, do you know where that Malaysian plane is?
That is some fucked up shit right there. Who asked that?
That's terrible. No, but you know what? I'm starting to believe things that I wouldn't have believed 5 days ago. People are like, well, it's in an alternate universe. I'm like, maybe it is. I mean, let's hope that that might be the best case scenario. Or it's somewhere in that, I believe, not that this deserves a serious answer, but I do believe that something's happened that they're not telling us. There's no way that could happen and we don't know any information, you know? So, unless Edward Snowden was flying it, what? Anyway, that was really inappropriate.
And on to the next
And the next question. Are there any books or movies that you feel you need to watch or you want to read, but you just can't get into?
Well, books, where do I begin? I mean, I have so many books in my, everything. I mean, it's movies, I can't watch, anything super violent. Like 12 Years a Slave, I tried it 3 times, and I just was like, once he was sold, I was like, oh, forget it. And I knew it was an important movie. You know when you know things are important to see, and you're like, you have to see it. I went to Germany with my cousin. You did the show, Who Do You Think You Are, as well. And I went to Germany, and my cousin said, we have to go to a concentration camp. It was called Saxon House. It was right outside of Berlin. And I said, I don't think I'm in the mood for that today. And my cousin was appalled, my cousin Molly, and she said, do you think anyone was in the mood? And then I was like, listen, I'm serious. I mean, it seems like it's going to be a mostly outdoor event, and it was freezing, and I am very, I'm not good with that. And she said, it doesn't matter if you're good with it. It really doesn't. Nobody gives a shit what you feel like. And then we went. Could have written a book about that, but I didn't.
Next question. Will you ever release the documentary you shot on your Chelsea Bang Bang tour?
Oh, God, that's actually a great question. I saw the footage, and it was so self-indulgent. Like, my friend shot this documentary the last tour I went on, and he's such a great guy, but he shot it, and he traveled with me, and I watched it, and I was so bored with myself and annoyed, and I just assumed everyone else would be, and I just didn't think I think there's enough of me around. I don't think we need a documentary about me.
Let us be the judge of that.
Well, I will download it on Goop.
Thank you.
And then you can see how many copies you sell, how many downloads you get. I don't think people are thank you for being interested, but. Oh.
And the next question.
Why did you throw your voice like that? You sounded like a woman.
Chelsea, it seems audiences have a different standard for male comedians versus female comedians. Is it harder to be a female comedian?
No, it's easier. You stick out like a sore thumb. It is easier. I think it's easier, unless people forget to mention you, and then I have to write a letter.
What is your favorite accessory and why?
Besides Chewy, of course.
My favorite accessory, I'm not wearing my little necklace. I know. My favorite accessory, oh God, I don't know. I have a little necklace that says C that all my girlfriends that I love and adore, Jen Meyer makes them in their little squares, and I sent everyone. She has one for an E because I call her Esther. I'm not really sure why. I remember. I don't really call anyone by their real names, and then I forget with the, how that even came about. But I know how Esther came about. But I think that's it. I like my little C-square necklace. I forgot to wear it tonight because I came straight from work. But I'm not an accessory person. I always find a new one.
Looking back, Chelsea, how do you feel about girls behaving badly?
That
Are
was
you
good.
proud of it?
I mean, it was great. I mean, it was a great show to be on. It was a hidden camera show that I was on, for those of you who don't know, and it was really fun. We had a blast. But it was a definite lesson in how girls behave with each other, because there were 5 girls, and there was one giant cunt. And she was such a bad girl that I thought I will never be like that with women. And the producers of the show, they were nice and everything, but they just didn't treat everyone well. And I thought if I ever am, run my own show, no one will ever be treated that way. No one will ever, everyone's going to get so many little extra things and, presents and Christmas parties and everything. And they just kind of treated us badly. But it was my first job in television. I didn't know any better. And I do now. So I'm grateful for it.
What advice do you have for women to break into writing for TV film, given how few women are hired in late night and sitcoms?
Well, you can break into anything if you just keep breaking in. You just keep doing it. I mean, you just have to keep doing whatever you're doing. And whatever you're good at, it's like going to the gym. If you go long enough, you're going to get a muscle. Look at this body. Look what happened to her.
Look at those legs.
I know. She was backstage saying, I said, look at your legs. You have the best legs in town. And she said, no, I don't. No, I said, you look at your body.
Why are we talking about this? I am in Uganda, to be kidding me, actually, in the beginning.
Oh, you are? Yes, I did a little, there's a mention of Gwyneth Paltrow. I used her real name. In the book, when I mention celebrities, I say, like, Marlize Sharon, so that people don't know who I'm talking about. To protect everybody's identity.
Yes, you do it very well.
Thank you. All right,
Chelsea, was there any part of the book that got left out for some reason?
There's a story about me shitting in a kayak, so no, there is not anything that got left out.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, that wasn't my finest moment, but you know what? It's helped me.
It's helped you how?
It's helped me reflect on my life, and I think about my mother a lot when I tell that story on stage. It's become part of my stand-up routine, and I think telling stories that are so humiliating are really good for the soul. Because everybody is going to shit their pants at some time. And you need to start dealing with it. But on that, I just want to make an announcement. That I'm going to sign books for anybody who has a book that they want signed. If you don't already know this, I'm going to sign it outside. And I'm going to wrap up this interview because I know that this is your first time, and I don't know if you know how to do that.
Oh.
I didn't know if you, I don't want you to, because Gwyneth's doing me a favor, so I don't want her to be stuck here for 2 hours with questions. I'll be happy to answer your questions alone. But I just was helping out you and your legs. I don't know if you have to walk back or...
I could stay here and talk to you all night.
I know, me too. I had the best night.
I love you.
It was really fun.
Here comes Ted. Look, I'm gonna wrap this up. Here comes Ted to conclude this evening.
Thank you very much, ladies. Thank you, Gwyneth, for being part of tonight. Thank you, Chelsea. We loved hosting you.